I'm very glad to have this opportunity to join with you as you commemorate the National Famine Commemoration, which not only looks back at the 1840s in Ireland, where so many were driven from Ireland and died because of hunger and famine, but also links us with developing countries, with those who still have problems of hunger and famine in our modern world today. The impact of An Gorta Mor in Ireland was huge, and there are quite a number of famine memorials of the diaspora that they have erected in different parts of the world. When I was in Buffalo in New York recently, near the Niagara Falls, the local Irish community asked me to stand with them and look at their very fine famine memorial, because they said so many Irish came through there and worked and found their way to other parts of the United States. This year you're marking a poignant story that's very close to my heart. A family that moved from Ballina, where I was born, to the port in Drogheda, wanting to get to England. And they had 2 children who died en route. And even when they got to Drogheda port, they had huge problems. That's the human story behind the statistics, behind all the memorials, a story that we must always particularly honour and remember. Unfortunately, in our world of the 21st century, hunger is still with us. It shocks me to know that there are so many children in our world today who wake up hungry, go to bed hungry. In Somalia, I saw the extreme situation of that in the 21st century. And in other places where there is malnutrition, children are stunted and never develop their full physical and intellectual capacity. Hundreds of thousands of children in our world today, as far away as North Korea, as I saw last year, all over parts of Africa, parts of India, South Asia. This is a problem. So we need the energy and the commitment of organizations like Gorta and all of you who support Gorta and those who work for solutions. And of course, agriculture, climate smart agriculture, which is itself sustainable, is very much part of the way forward. And we all have to work at making it all the more environmentally sustainable. This is something that my foundation, the Mary Robinson Foundation, is very focused on. One of our key priority areas is food and nutrition security. We say food and nutrition because nutrition gets down to the mother and child in the first 1,000 days of the child, and the importance of mothers having good nutrition. And it gets away from a sovereignty of food security which talks about countries rather than people. We're very people focused in the foundation. We also understand that famine and food production have a strong gender perspective, by which we mean that producing food tends to be very much the responsibility of women in developing countries. 80% of the farmers in Africa are women, and it is they who put the food on the table or not for their families, and the water. So if there is an impact of climate change, as there is increasingly, it impacts on their capacity, and their voices have to be heard in the context of how we address climate change. And so this is what we are trying to do, bring out the voices and make sure that they are heard. Ireland's annual commemoration of the famine, the National Famine Commemoration, is a way in which we as a people engage with developing countries. They know it. I've heard it from many of them. We have an empathy with developing countries which few richer European countries or industrialized countries generally have. We have a way of linking with them. We have our own humor, our own practical cop-on about how to address practical problems that is so treasured. And the National Famine Commemoration is not just a looking back, it is a connecting forward for the modern Ireland. And all the young people growing up in Ireland need to engage in National Famine Commemoration and support organizations like Gorta, who are part of a modern Irish identity, a modern Irish spirit, a modern Irish methel. So cogordagus liv galer as an éith gasca atá déanta give. Gur míle maithagah go léir.